The neon lights of Pyongwon shimmered like a sea of stars against the dark canvas of the night. The city was alive, buzzing with the hum of hovercars zipping through the airways and the chatter of its citizens, moving through crowded streets below. Among the towering skyscrapers stood an old, unassuming workshop tucked away in a quiet corner of the bustling metropolis. Its walls were lined with shelves cluttered with tools, wires, and half-finished gadgets. This was where Jae-min spent most of his days. Jae-min was not someone who drew attention to himself. He was lean, with sharp features softened by a perpetual calmness that made him easy to overlook. His dark hair fell slightly over his forehead, always messy from hours spent tinkering with machines. To anyone who walked into the workshop, he appeared to be nothing more than an apprentice and assistant to Master Hang Seok, the brilliant engineer whose inventions had changed lives across galaxies. People assumed Jae-min fetched parts, cleaned up after experiments, or ran errands for the master. Few bothered to look closer. Master Hang Seok was a legend, a man whose name carried weight in scientific circles. He was known for his groundbreaking work on energy manipulation and artificial intelligence. His latest project, however, was shrouded in mystery. Rumors whispered of something called the Eon Core, a device rumored to have unimaginable power. No one knew exactly what it did, but everyone wanted it, including dangerous people. On this particular evening, the workshop was unusually quiet. Master Hang Seok sat hunched over a large, glowing mechanism at the center of the room. The core pulsed faintly, casting strange shadows on the walls. Jae-min stood nearby, watching silently as his mentor worked. There was a tension in the air, though Jae-min didn't say anything about it. He had learned long ago to trust his instincts when things felt off. Just then, the door slid open with a soft hiss. A figure stepped inside, pulling the hood of her cloak down to reveal delicate features framed by sleek black hair. She looked out of place in the cluttered workshop, her elegant posture contrasting sharply with the chaos around her. This was Princess Ji-yoon, though she wasn't wearing any sign of royalty. Dressed simply in civilian clothes, she blended in perfectly with the crowd outside. Ji-yoon had come to Pyongwon seeking refuge. Her kingdom, Solara, was embroiled in political turmoil, and assassins had been sent to eliminate her. Disguised as an ordinary traveler, she had wandered into the workshop hoping to find safety and perhaps answers. What she found instead was Jae-min, whom she dismissed almost immediately as insignificant. After all, how could someone so unremarkable possibly help her? Master Hang Seok, Ji-yoon said, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. I need your assistance. The old man glanced up from his work, his eyes narrowing slightly. Who are you? He asked, his tone cautious. Before Ji-yoon could respond, there was a sudden explosion outside. The ground shook violently, sending tools clattering to the floor. Dust filled the air as alarms blared throughout the building. Mercenaries clad in black armor burst through the shattered windows, their weapons aimed directly at the trio. Their leader, a tall man with cybernetic enhancements gleaming menacingly in the dim light, strode forward confidently. We're here for the core, the leader growled, his voice cold and mechanical. Hand it over, and we might let you live. Jae-min froze for a fraction of a second before springing into action. Without hesitation, he grabbed a small device from the table and threw it toward the mercenaries. It exploded in a flash of light, temporarily blinding them. Seizing the opportunity, he shoved Ji-yoon behind a stack of crates and shouted, "Stay down!" What happened next shocked Ji-yoon to her core. The quiet apprentice she had written off moments ago moved with precision and speed that seemed impossible. He dodged laser blasts with ease, countering each attack with calculated moves. Holographic decoys appeared around the room, confusing the mercenaries and giving Jae-min the upper hand. Within minutes, several of the attackers lay unconscious on the floor, but the battle wasn't without cost. Master Hyong Seok collapsed, clutching his chest as blood seeped through his fingers. Jamin rushed to his side, panic flashing briefly in his usually calm eyes. "Activate Protocol, Delta." The old man gasped, his voice weak but urgent. Then his head lolled to the side, unconscious. Ji-yoon stared at Jamin, her mind racing. Who was this person? How could someone so seemingly ordinary possess such incredible skills? Before she could ask, Jamin turned to her, his expression grim but composed. "Your Highness," he said, bowing slightly. For the first time, Ji-yoon realized that he knew exactly who she was, and that he had been waiting for this moment all along. The mercenaries were still recovering from the chaos Jamin had unleashed. Their leader, a towering cyborg with glowing red eyes and a voice like grinding metal, barked orders to his team. "Find the core, now." His mechanical arm crackled with energy as he scanned the room, searching for any sign of movement. Jamin didn't waste time. He knew they were outnumbered, but he also knew the workshop better than anyone. Every corner, every nook, every gadget stored in the cluttered shelves, everything was familiar to him. With quick, deliberate motions, he activated hidden defenses built into the workshop systems. Small drones whirred to life, buzzing around the mercenaries like angry bees. Holographic projections flickered across the walls, creating illusions that disoriented the attackers. Ji-yoon watched in stunned silence as Jamin moved with purpose. Gone was the quiet, unassuming apprentice she had dismissed earlier. In his place stood someone entirely different, a person who radiated confidence and skill. She wanted to ask questions, to demand answers about who he really was, but there was no time. The mercenaries regrouped quickly, focusing their fire on Jamin's position. "Stay behind cover," Jamin shouted over the din of laser blasts and explosions. Ji-yoon obeyed, crouching low behind a stack of crates. Her heart pounded in her chest as she clutched the edge of the wooden box, trying to steady her breathing. This wasn't how she had imagined her visit to Pyongwon would go. Assassins hunting her across star systems. An apprentice turning out to be some kind of secret warrior? It all felt surreal, like something out of one of the stories her father used to tell her when she was a child. But this wasn't a story. This was real. And Jamin was the only thing standing between her and Death Dot as the battle raged on. Jamin reached Master Hyong Seok's side. The old man lay unconscious, his breathing shallow. Jamin checked his pulse, relieved to find it still strong. He couldn't afford to lose focus now. Grabbing a small medical kit from a nearby shelf, he patched up the worst of the wounds before dragging the master to a safer part of the workshop. When he turned back toward the fight, his eyes locked onto Ji-yoon. She was staring at him, her expression a mix of awe and confusion. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling. Jamin hesitated. There was so much he couldn't tell her not yet. But she deserved some truth. "I'm not just an apprentice," he admitted, his tone measured. "I've been trained to protect people like you. My job is to keep you safe." "People like me?" Ji-yoon repeated, frowning. "You mean royalty?" "Yes," Jamin said, his gaze shifting back to the mercenaries. "And more importantly, people targeted by those who want power at any cost." Before Ji-yoon could press further, another wave of attackers stormed into the workshop. These ones were better prepared, armed with advanced weaponry and tactical gear. They spread out, systematically dismantling Jamin's defenses. The drones fell silent, their circuits fried by electromagnetic pulses. The holograms flickered and died, leaving the room dimly lit by the pulsing glow of the Eon core. J-Min cursed under his breath. He couldn't hold them off forever. They needed to act fast. Turning to Ji-yoon, he gestured toward the core. "Do you see that device in the center of the room? That's the Eon core. It's why they're here. If they get their hands on it, Countless lives will be at risk. Ji-yoon nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. What do we do? We activate it, Jaemin said grimly. It'll create a diversion big enough for us to escape. But it's dangerous. If I don't control it properly, it could destroy everything within a 10-kilometer radius. Ji-yoon swallowed hard. Is there another way? No, Jaemin replied simply. Trust me. For a moment, Ji-yoon hesitated. Trust was a luxury she hadn't been able to afford lately. Everyone she met seemed to have ulterior motives, and even those closest to her had betrayed her trust in the past. But looking at Jaemin, now, the determination in his eyes, the calm authority in his voice, she felt something stir inside her. Maybe, just maybe, she could trust him. The moment Jaemin activated the Aeon core, the world around them changed. A low hum filled the air, growing louder and more intense with each passing second. The pulsing glow of the core erupted into a blinding flash of light, and then everything went silent. Ji-yoon felt a strange sensation, like being pulled in all directions at once. Before the ground beneath her feet disappeared entirely, when she opened her eyes, she found herself standing on a floating island suspended in an endless expanse of shimmering sky. The horizon stretched infinitely in every direction, dotted with other islands that drifted lazily through the air. Strange creatures with translucent wings flitted between the islands, their movements graceful and hypnotic. It was beautiful, but also unsettling, a place that defied logic and reason. J-Min stood beside her, his expression unreadable. He scanned their surroundings carefully, his hand resting on the hilt of a compact weapon strapped to his belt. We're in the rift, he explained after a moment. A dimension outside normal space and time. The core brought us here. Ji-yoon turned to him, her voice tinged with disbelief. You knew this would happen. I hoped it wouldn't come to this, Jaemin admitted. But yes, I knew it was possible. The core wasn't designed just as a weapon, it's also a gateway. We need to find our way back, but first, we have to survive. As if on cue, the ground beneath their feet trembled slightly. Ji-yoon stumbled, catching herself before she fell. When she looked up, she saw something approaching, a massive shape emerging from the misty distance. At first, it looked like a storm cloud, dark and swirling, but as it drew closer, Ji-yoon realized it was alive. Towering figures emerged from the haze, their forms shifting and glowing faintly. These were the apex predators, ancient beings whose presence radiated power and wisdom. They're here, Jaemin murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. The guardians of the rift. The predators moved with an elegance that belied their size. Each step they took seemed to ripple through the fabric of reality itself. They stopped a short distance away, their glowing eyes fixed on Jaemin and Ji-yoon. Though they didn't speak aloud, their thoughts echoed in Ji-yoon's mind, calm yet commanding. Why have you come? Jaemin stepped forward, bowing deeply. Great ones, we seek your guidance. We were forced to activate the core to escape those who wish to misuse its power. We mean no harm. The predators studied him for a long moment, their gazes piercing. Then one of them spoke again, its voice resonating like a distant thunderclap. The core is not yours to control. Its existence disrupts the balance of the universe. We understand, Jaemin replied quickly. But there are others, mercenaries led by a man named Kao, who will stop at nothing to claim it. If they succeed, the consequences will be catastrophic. The predators exchanged silent glances, their forms shimmering faintly. Finally, one of them addressed Ji-yoon directly, ignoring Jaemin entirely. And you, child of Solara? Why do you follow this path? Ji-yoon hesitated, unsure how to respond. She had spent most of her life running from responsibility, hiding behind titles and ceremonies that never truly made her feel like a leader. But now, standing face to face with beings older than time itself, She felt a spark of courage ignite within her. "I may not know much about ruling or leading," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment, "but I do know right from wrong. If I can help stop someone like Kale from causing destruction, then I'll do whatever it takes." The predators seemed to consider her words. After what felt like an eternity, they nodded slowly. "Very well. To prove your worthiness, you must retrieve the Shard of Eternity, a fragment of the core, lost deep within the rift. Only then will we judge whether you deserve safe passage home. With that, the predators vanished, leaving Jaemin and Ji-yoon alone once more. The floating island beneath them shifted slightly, as if urging them to move forward. "Well," Ji-yoon said, breaking the silence, "that was intense." Jaemin managed a small smile. "Intense is one way to put it. Come on, we don't have much time." The journey through the rift was unlike anything Ji-yoon had ever experienced. Time flowed unpredictably. Minutes stretched into hours, only to snap back to seconds without warning. Gravity shifted constantly, making even walking a challenge. Despite the chaos, however, Ji-yoon found herself marveling at the beauty of the dimension. Bioluminescent plants grew along the edges of the floating islands, casting soft glows that illuminated their path. Strange creatures accompanied them, some curious, others cautious, but none hostile. As they traveled, Ji-yoon began to see Jaemin in a new light. He was always alert, always prepared, but there were moments when his guard slipped, revealing glimpses of vulnerability. One evening, or what passed for evening in the rift, they stopped to rest on a particularly large island. Sitting beside a glowing pool of water, Yoon decided to broach a topic that had been weighing on her mind. "You've been protecting me since the beginning," she said quietly. "But why? What's your story?" Jaemin stared into the glowing water, his expression thoughtful. "I was taken from my family when I was young," he began, his voice low. "They said I had potential, that I could be trained to serve a greater purpose. So I spent years learning how to fight, how to think strategically, how to blend in. By the time I was old enough to question it, I didn't know anything else. Do you regret it?" Ji-yoon asked. "Sometimes," Jaemin admitted. "But then I remember why I do what I do. People like you, the ones who care about doing the right thing, they give me hope. And maybe, someday, I'll find a way to make a difference beyond just following orders." Ji-yoon nodded, feeling a newfound respect for the man beside her. For so long, she had seen herself as powerless, trapped by the expectations of her title. But Jaemin's quiet determination reminded her that strength came in many forms, and that perhaps she still had a role to play in shaping the future. Their progress was slow but steady. Along the way, they encountered challenges that tested both their skills and their resolve. On one occasion, they faced a trial involving a labyrinthine cave system where gravity reversed at random intervals. Jaemin used his engineering knowledge to create makeshift tools, while Ji-yoon relied on her quick thinking to navigate the disorienting passages. Another time, they were ambushed by shadowy creatures that seemed to feed on fear. Working together, they managed to drive the beast away using a combination of light and sound. Through it all, their bond grew stronger. Ji-yoon no longer saw Jaemin as just a protector. He was a partner, someone she could trust completely. And Jaemin, for his part, began to see Ji-yoon not as a burden, but as a capable ally. Together, they made a formidable team. Finally, after what felt like days or maybe weeks, they reached their destination, a massive crystal spire rising from the center of a jagged island. At its peak rested the Shard of Eternity, glowing faintly with the same energy as the Aeon core. But guarding it was a colossal beast, its body composed entirely of pure energy. It roared as they approached, its form shifting and crackling with raw power. "This is it," Jaemin said, gripping his weapon tightly. "Are you ready?" Ji-yoon took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. "Let's do this." The battle that followed was fierce and chaotic. The creature attacked relentlessly, its strikes powerful enough to shatter rock. Jaemin fought with precision, dodging and countering with practiced ease. Ji-yoon, meanwhile, focused on finding weaknesses in the beast's defenses. Using her surroundings to her advantage, she lured it into traps and distracted it long enough for Jaemin to land critical hits. In the end, it wasn't brute force that won the day, it was teamwork. As the creature hesitated, sensing the unity between its opponents, Jaemin seized the opportunity to strike the final blow. With a deafening roar, the beast dissolved into a shower of sparks, leaving the shard unguarded. Ji-yoon picked it up cautiously, feeling its warmth against her palm. "We did it," she said, turning to Jaemin with a triumphant smile. With the Shard of Eternity safely in hand, Jaemin and Ji-yoon prepared to leave the Crystal Spire. The air around them crackled with energy, a reminder of the power they now carried. As they stepped away from the glowing artifact, the apex predators reappeared, their towering forms materializing silently before them. Their presence was both awe-inspiring and intimidating, their glowing eyes fixed on the shard. "You have proven yourselves worthy," one of the predators said, its voice resonating like distant thunder. "But your journey is far from over. The rift has shown you what lies within yourselves, but the true test awaits beyond this realm." J-Min bowed respectfully. "We understand, Great Ones. We will return to our world and face whatever comes next." The predators exchanged silent glances, their forms shimmering faintly as if communicating without words. Finally, another spoke. "Take heed, mortals. The balance of the universe depends on your actions. Use the core wisely or not at all." Before either Jaemin or Ji-yoon could respond, the predators raised their arms and the rift began to dissolve around them. The floating islands, the glowing skies, and the strange creatures all faded into nothingness. A blinding light enveloped them once more, and when it cleared, they found themselves back in Master Hyong-seok's workshop. The workshop was in ruins. The mercenaries' attack had left scars everywhere, shattered windows, scorched walls, and debris scattered across the floor. But there was no sign of Kale or his men. For a moment, Jaemin and Ji-yoon stood still, taking in the destruction. It was a stark reminder of how much danger still loomed over them. "We need to move quickly," Jaemin said, breaking the silence. "They'll be back." Ji-yoon nodded, clutching the shard tightly. "What do we do now?" Jaemin gestured toward the damaged remains of the Aeon core. "We repair it. With the shard, we can stabilize the core and use it to protect ourselves and stop Kale if he tries anything reckless." Together, they set to work. Jaemin's hands moved with practiced precision as he disassembled parts of the core, carefully integrating the shard into its structure. Ji-yoon assisted where she could, holding tools and handing him components. Though she lacked his technical expertise, her calm demeanor and quick thinking proved invaluable. As they worked, the bond between them deepened further. They shared stories of their pasts, their fears, and their hopes for the future. "I never thought I'd end up here," Ji-yoon admitted at one point, her voice soft. "All my life, I've been running from responsibilities, from expectations, but now, I feel like maybe I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Jaemin paused, looking at her with a small smile. "Sometimes we don't get to choose where we end up, but we always get to choose what we do once we're there." His words stayed with Ji-yoon, filling her with a quiet sense of purpose. For so long, she had doubted her ability to lead, to make a difference. But seeing Jaemin fight for something greater than himself inspired her to believe that she could too. Hours passed, though neither of them noticed. When the last piece clicked into place, the Aeon core hummed to life, its glow steady and strong. It pulsed gently, as if acknowledging their efforts. Jaemin sighed in relief. "It's done," he said. Now we wait. Not long after, the mercenaries returned. This time, they came in greater numbers, their weapons gleaming under the dim light of the workshop. Kale led them, his cybernetic enhancements glowing ominously. His expression was cold and calculating as he stepped forward, his gaze locking onto the Eon core. "You've caused us a lot of trouble," Kale growled, his mechanical arm crackling with energy. "But it ends now. Hand over the core, and I might let you live." Jamin stepped in front of Ji-yoon, his stance firm. "You're not getting it." Kale smirked, raising his weapon. "Then you'll die trying to stop me." The battle that followed was intense. Laser blasts lit up the room, ricocheting off walls and sending sparks flying. Jamin fought with everything he had, using every trick he knew to hold the mercenaries at bay. Ji-yoon stayed close, helping wherever she could. She used the environment to her advantage, knocking over shelves to create barriers and distracting enemies with well-timed shouts. Despite their efforts, the mercenaries pushed forward relentlessly. Kale himself was a formidable opponent, his strength and speed enhanced by his cybernetics. He managed to break through Jamin's defenses, grabbing the Eon core with his mechanical hand. The device flared brightly, its energy surging uncontrollably. Finally, Kale shouted triumphantly, "With this, I'll have unlimited power." But before he could activate the core, Jamin stepped forward, not to fight, but to speak. "Stop," he said calmly, his voice cutting through the chaos. "You don't understand what you're doing." Kale sneered. "What are you going to do? Talk me to death?" "No," Jamin replied, his tone unwavering. "I'm asking you to think. Do you really want to unleash something you can't control? Even if you win today, you'll destroy everything, including yourself." For a moment, Kale hesitated. His grip on the core tightened, but doubt flickered in his eyes. Sensing an opportunity, Ji-yoon stepped forward as well. "He's right," she said, her voice steady. "This isn't about power. It's about survival for everyone. Let us help you find another way." Kale's expression darkened, torn between anger and uncertainty. Behind him, his mercenaries exchanged uneasy glances, their confidence wavering. The apex predators appeared then, their massive forms stepping out of thin air. Their presence was enough to send a ripple of fear through the mercenaries. "Enough," one of the predators declared, its voice echoing like rolling thunder. "The core is not yours to claim. Step back or face judgment." Kale stared at the predators, his bravado crumbling. Slowly, reluctantly, he released the core and stepped away. His mercenaries followed suit, retreating into the shadows. Within moments, they were gone, leaving only silence behind. When the dust settled, Jamin turned to Ji-yoon, exhaustion etched on his face. "It's over," he said softly. Ji-yoon nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "For everything?" Jamin smiled faintly. "We did it together." As dawn broke over Pyongyang, the city began to stir back to life. The workshop may have been in ruins, but hope remained intact. And though their journey had been perilous, Jamin and Ji-yoon knew they had forged a bond stronger than any trial, a partnership built on trust, courage, and the belief that even in the darkest times, unity could light the way forward. The sun rose over Pyongyang, casting a golden glow across the city. The workshop was quiet now, its shattered windows and scorched walls bearing witness to the chaos of the night before. Inside, Jamin and Ji-yoon stood side by side, the Eon core resting between them. Its glow had dimmed, but it still pulsed faintly, as if alive with energy. For the first time in what felt like forever, they allowed themselves a moment of rest. J-Min leaned against a broken table, his face lined with exhaustion. His hands were smeared with grease and dirt from hours of repairing the core, but he didn't seem to notice. Ji-yoon sat on a nearby crate, her fingers brushing lightly over the shard of eternity. She hadn't let go of it since they returned from the rift, as if holding on to it kept her grounded. "We did it," Ji-Yun said finally, breaking the silence. Her voice was soft, almost hesitant, as if she couldn't quite believe the words herself. Jaemin nodded. "We did, but at what cost?" Ji-Yun asked, looking around at the wreckage. Master Hyang-Seok's workshop, once a place of innovation and wonder, was now little more than ruins. And though Kale and his mercenaries had retreated, their threat still lingered in the air like smoke after a fire. "It's not about the cost," Jaemin replied, his tone steady. "It's about what we choose to do next. We saved the core and maybe the universe, but this isn't the end. There will always be people like Kale, people who want power for themselves, no matter the consequences. Our job is to stop them." Ji-Yoon sighed, her gaze dropping to the floor. "I don't know if I'm ready for that. Being a princess has never been easy, but this feels impossible." "You're stronger than you think," Jaemin said gently. "You've proven that already. You faced the apex predators, fought alongside me, and even stood up to Kale. That takes courage, real courage." Ji-Yoon looked at him, her eyes searching his face. "And what about you? What happens to you now?" Jaemin hesitated. He had spent most of his life following orders, moving from one mission to the next without ever stopping to think about what he truly wanted. But now, standing here with Ji-Yoon, he realized something important. He didn't have to keep running. "Not anymore. I'll keep doing what I've always done," he said after a moment. "Protecting people like you. But maybe I can find my own path too. One where I don't just follow orders, I make choices." Ji-Yoon smiled faintly, a spark of hope lighting up her expression. "Then maybe we're not so different after all." In the days that followed, the city began to heal. News of the attack spread quickly, though few knew the full truth about the Aeon Core or the Rift. To the people of Pyongyang, it was just another skirmish in a galaxy filled with conflict. But for Jaemin and Ji-Yoon, it marked the beginning of something new. Master Hyang-Seok recovered slowly, his injuries severe but not life-threatening. When he woke up, Jaemin explained everything: the mercenaries, the Rift, the apex predators, and the role the Core had played in saving them all. The old man listened silently, his expression unreadable. When Jaemin finished, Hyang-Seok simply nodded. "You've done well," he said, his voice weak but proud. "Better than I could have hoped?" Jaemin bowed his head, gratitude swelling in his chest. For so long, he had doubted whether he was living up to the expectations placed upon him. But now, hearing those words from his mentor, he felt a sense of peace he hadn't known before. As for Ji-Yoon, she prepared to return to Solara. Her kingdom needed her, especially now. The political turmoil that had driven her into hiding was far from resolved, and she knew she couldn't run forever. But leaving Jaemin wasn't easy. Over the course of their journey, he had become more than just a protector. He had become a friend, someone she trusted completely. On the day of her departure, Jaemin accompanied her to the spaceport. The streets were bustling with activity, vendors calling out to passers-by and children laughing as they chased each other through the crowd. It was a stark contrast to the quiet solemnity of the workshop. "This is it," Ji-Yoon said as they reached the boarding platform. She turned to Jaemin, her expression a mix of sadness and determination. "Thank you for everything. I wouldn't have made it this far without you." Jaemin shook his head. "You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. Remember that." Ji-Yoon nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "Will I see you again?" "Maybe," Jaemin said with a small smile. "The universe has a way of bringing people together when they least expect it." With that, Ji-Yoon stepped onto the ship, disappearing into the crowd of passengers. As the engines roared to life and the vessel lifted off, Jaemin watched it ascend into the sky. For a moment, he felt a pang of loneliness, But then he reminded himself that this wasn't goodbye. Not really. Back at the workshop, Jimin threw himself into repairs. With Master Hyong Seok's guidance, he began rebuilding the damaged equipment, salvaging what he could from the ruins. It was hard work, but it gave him purpose. Each tool he fixed, each gadget he restored, brought a sense of accomplishment he hadn't felt in years. Meanwhile, news of Ji-yoon's return to Solara spread quickly. Her bravery during the attack on Pyongwon became legend, inspiring many across the galaxy. Though she faced challenges in her efforts to stabilize her kingdom, she approached them with renewed confidence. The lessons she had learned from Jaemin stayed with her, guiding her decisions and shaping her leadership. And though their paths diverged, Jaemin and Ji-yoon remained connected not by proximity, but by the bond they had forged in the face of danger. They had faced impossible odds together, proving that even in the darkest times, unity and trust could light the way forward. In the end, the story of the Aeon Corps wasn't about power or destruction. It was about hope, about finding strength in unlikely places and trusting in the goodness of others. And as the galaxy continued to spin through the vastness of space, Jaemin and Ji-yoon carried those lessons with them, ready to face whatever came next.